Welcome into Inside LAFC Podcast Playoff Edition. I am Max Bretos. There is Beta, Steve Beitashour. The playoffs have begun, Beta, and LAFC did their job. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about game one. We're going to preview game two. We're going to talk about the return of the king. But while the victory was there, let's get the bad stuff out of the way. All right? Let's get the bad stuff out of the way. A little shaky at the beginning. A little shaky at the end, but job well done.
Job well done indeed. An exciting match for everybody involved. Kept everybody in their seats to the very end. A little late drama, but it was good. Again, not the greatest of starts. We'll touch on it, but overall, they got the job done.
They got the job done. And again, just as a refresher, the first round, because a lot of people, my playoff explainers out there, but people came up to me at BMO Stadium, say, what exactly is there extra time? This is best of three. LAFC will host game one, game three if necessary. If the games go to 90 minutes, it will go directly to penalties. That changes in the next round, but let's just stay on this first round. And Beta, let us talk about what we saw on Sunday night. Everything on LAFC with regards to the Los Angeles community as they take game one versus the Whitecaps. I wanted to start with what an amazing time it is to be a Los Angeles sport fan. We have the Dodgers 2 games away. Look how excited Beta is. He's got his Dodgers shirt in there. I'm just kidding.
I'm a Lakers fan, so bring up the Lakers too.
We all have different teams. Dodgers 2 games away from winning the World Series. The Lakers are off to an incredible start, 3-0, I believe, at last check. The Clippers have a beautiful new building. USC won. It was against Rutgers, but hey, the Rams won on Thursday. The Chargers won. Let's go Chargers. The Galaxy won their game. And then here was LAFC. The Kings won, too, by the way, for hockey fans.
I saw some stat on ESPN. I think it was 14-0 Los Angeles teams over that Friday to Sunday stretch. Pretty good for Los Angeles.
Pressure's on for LAFC. And I'm sure the players weren't paying attention, but it was an incredible spectacle. Jordan's wife sang the national anthem, Canadian, and it was amazing. Fireworks going off. It felt like the occasion. And LAFC against a Whitecaps team that had to go through the wild card spot. We knew they would be a little bit dangerous. What did you see from this LAFC team? Vancouver hitting the post early on through Brian White. Imagine what that would have done to the texture of this game. But LAFC, with their transition, with their pace, they had a very fast team, which we talked about last week, able to get that goal, able to get the penalty in the first half, and able to seal it with Kike Oliveira in the second.
Yeah, I think Whitecaps came out strong. They came out with that confidence that prior to that match against Portland, they put up 5. And you can kind of see it, right? They come out in this unusual Christmas tree formation, the 4-3-2-1, and really clog up the central field, which LAFC loves to play through the midfield, find the pivots, and get from one side to the other. And Whitecaps kind of made it difficult for them, and they had the better of the chances in the first 20 minutes. You mentioned Armstrong hits the post, a couple decent, not half chances, but decent chances for the Whitecaps, and you're kind of looking at LAFC like, come on, let's go. The playoffs have started. Let's go. But then, the handball against Blackman, unfortunately, around the 30th minute.
Was that the right call?
I think so. If it's his left arm, I do not think it's a penalty, right? It's tucked in. But his right arm was out, so the further arm, and it hits. I think it's the right call. It's unlucky. But it is the right call. And then Bouanga, finishes it as he always does. And then you see a bit of a sigh from the team, a little relaxation. All right, we are LAFC. And then we saw the LAFC we are used to. Then they were flying. And that second goal from LAFC is one of my favorites they've had all year. One of my favorites because it's such a team goal. It goes from the middle from who was Aaron Long, I believe, playing out to Bouanga, who first time hits it into Striker. Striker lays it off first touch to Hollingshead, who plays it to Bogusz, we talk about this all the time. You can shoot the ball, you're at top of the box, but instead he plays an unselfish pass to Oliveira, and Oliveira just smashes it. It was a perfect team goal. I love those type of goals. And they could have scored 3 or 4 or 5 and really put the game away. but they just wanted to keep people in their seats and let Whitecaps have one at the end, apparently, and keep it interesting. It was a fun game. It was exciting.
It was. I mean, everyone had to stop for a second, and it was very late in the game, but even Vancouver kind of pushed a little bit late to almost get into that final third and perhaps come up with something. Mm-hmm. I want to say something funny. I was in the press area when Bouanga took that penalty kick. I was like sitting there behind everyone. I go, hey, Danny missed his last penalty. And then 20 heads look back at me like, really? Seriously? I'm like, I'm sorry. And I go, if he misses his penalty, I'm in a lot of hot water. He did. Yeah. Thank you, Danny. I had complete faith in you.
Yes.
You said it was a very good team goal. There was some obviously struggling, but there were some moments with really good passing. You know they want to build up these plays. Mm-hmm. And the goals the penalty and then the goal and a third good attempt from Matty Bogusz later. It came on where they kind of went sideline to sideline. Mm-hmm. And they would use the full width of the field. And then some would be the pivot, and then there would have like a 3-on-2. It was like a basketball play.
Yeah.
You know, and then he's like, so you'd see like, say, Matty coming through here, and now all of a sudden he's got 2 guys here, and Vancouver's got 2 defenders, creating an overload. It was just like, there was like some nuance there, and I thought it was really good. And I feel like there's a team quality. It's not like Denny score a goal and help us. It feels like it can come from a lot of places.
It's something that, Ante Razov, who is the attacking coach for LAFC, works on often. I don't want to say every week, but works on often in moments like that, in transition moments, or even in build out from the middle third to the attacking third. It's again going from sideline to sideline and creating that overload on the weak side, which you saw multiple times. But the nuance to that is, are you unselfish in that moment around the box? And, it's something that I tell my team, and I even saw with the Whitecaps in their goal. In the 87th minute, Fafa Pico has the same opportunity that they scored their goal on in the 93rd minute. Around the 25-yard mark, he shoots it instead of passing it in. He had a couple runners into the box, what LAFC always does. Now in the 93rd minute, 5 minutes later, he changes his mind. He doesn't shoot it. He slips someone into the box, and, Gold gets a fantastic finish and goal from it. And it just shows you why LAFC is so successful, because they're very unselfish in these moments. They realize they're going to get multiple chances. So let's do what Ante preaches every single week about making those runs off the edge and into the box. And, they reward themselves and they thank their teammates. You looked at the first goal, Oliveira, after he scores, he's hugging Bogusz and pointing at him like this. Like, for me, that's unbelievable stuff. You love seeing that, especially in the playoffs when there's only a few games left. So really good stuff from LAFC yesterday.
Surprised that Oliveira was in the lineup. I mean, he's been on international duty, but you have so many options. And, they reconfigured the formation and get a wide player, which made sense because Vancouver's not the fastest team. Get your speed merchants. And it paid off. I mean, I guess I wasn't surprised, but it was like, oh, a little taken back. Oh, that's another option. That's something else you can throw at an opponent.
It is another option. I was a little surprised as well. But when you look at who would they take out if he weren't in, or who would they put in? Palencia, I think, has been incredible this year, I've already said. And Hollingshead has been very, very good as well. So it's like, do you take one of those guys out? Probably not. All right, we're at home. Maybe take out a true center back. Palencia is more of an attacking player. I know he's a defender. So they took out one of the center backs, put in Palencia back there, who did an incredible job again, just to get Oliveira up there. So, again, we talk about this all the time, but they have so many options in depth that I don't think you can really make a wrong move. Maybe next game, being in Vancouver, they'll put on an extra center back, but we'll see what they do.
Yeah, that's what happened. Eddie Segura, who was not in the 20-man roster, was pulled out, and that meant that Sergi was part of that back three, which was not 3 center backs, but Sergi was kind of like a center back. And that opened a spot for Christian Oliveira. Something different we haven't seen, which gives me comfort, because it just, I think, in Steve we trust, you obviously, but Steve Cherundolo. And it's like not mad scientist. Yeah, but I guess mad science. I might do this. Be on your toes. We might look like this. And teams are like, what? This is not an 11 we saw all season, really.
Yeah. And isn't that crazy that Eddie Segura, who is a phenomenal player, phenomenal person, wasn't even in the 20? Like, it wasn't interesting. Obviously it worked out, but it just shows you how much depth and how much talent they have, not just in the 11, the entire roster, man. Players like him who I played with in 2019 when we, broke the record for most points in a season, Supporter Shield, and he wasn't even on the roster right now. It says good things about that roster right now.
Yeah, Steve Tronello, again, last week, and we'll talk to him again this week. He said, I feel very comfortable. Everyone's healthy. Jesus Murillo is back on there. I'll get to the bench in a moment, but I want to talk about some of the individual performances. Lewis O'Brien was great. Timothy Tillman was great. Lewis O'Brien getting the man of the match. He got to do the sha-la-la-las. But Matty Bogusz probably my man of the match. Let's call it some Bogusz ball because he hits the ball that led to the penalty. He set up Christian Oliveira. There was a moment when Vela came in. There was a free kick. He took it. It hit the crossbar. He hit the post the fourth time. No surprise either. I mean, it was a surprise. At the end of the match, when Vela, who we will talk about, came into the game, came in for Bouanga. And, I mean, there is no doubt Steve Tronello says this game has not been tucked away, and Vancouver scored late. It wasn't tucked away. So you're still putting Carlos Vela, who hasn't played all season, into a situation that's very competitive. This wasn't like a celebration. So he needed, I think, to keep Bogusz in there just to make it complete, this 11. So I thought, again, we look at different players stepping up. Maybe this is the postseason of Matty Bogusz. He's gotten off to a great start.
He looked phenomenal, and I agree. He was the man of the match for me, but I think if the score was 3-0, we see Carlos Vela a little sooner, but 2-0, you hear it all the time, is the most dangerous lead. One goal, momentum completely changes it. They're back into it. Now you're kind of bunkering in, holding on for dear life. You don't want that. So LAFC was just waiting for that third goal, and they had their chances. Bogusz hit the crossbar once, the post, and actually the crossbar twice.
Yep.
And then the ball Bouanga played him. But I love seeing Carlos Vela come in, but I think that's the right decision that they made because
to leave Bogusz out there.
Yeah, Bouanga doesn't defend like Bogusz, and Carlos doesn't defend like Bogusz. So there's still a bit of hesitation when you're thinking about that. Like, hey, this game's not over. We can't have Carlos and Bouanga on the field at the same time. Then we're kind of defending with 8. You can't have that. So you want your 10 back there in front of the keeper to really protect him and work together. And it was the right move. But, yeah, Bogusz was incredible that game. Just the power that he dribbles with, his decisions, his shots. He's impressive. For 23, John Thornton is going to have some calls coming in this offseason for him. He is playing really well.
Well, let me just tell those teams that are calling in the offseason, don't come with a cheap offer.
Yeah, get the checkbook out.
Don't come with $2.5 million. No.
Get those zeros at the end.
Crazy. I think that's what people are looking at. And LAFC is not going to sell him for an offer well below what I don't know the market, but not that. He was amazing. We'll see how he looks really interested and engaged. It is fantastic. The depth 4 days, as they like to say. We saw the game against Vancouver, Ilie Sanchez, Nate Ordaz, Kai Kamara come off the bench. We saw the game against San Jose on decision day, Marlon come in, Eduardo Atuesta. I'm sitting there at the stadium, I'm looking down there, and you see Carlos Vela, Eduardo Atuesta, one player after another with their arms crossed there. Ilie Sanchez was there, Marlon was there, Omar Campos was there, Jesus Murillo was there. It's crazy. And it's not just depth, but it's depth everywhere. You need a little more attacking verve out wide. You need an extra fullback. You need an engine room midfielder. You need another center back. It is all there. Knock on wood that it stays that way. But we talked about it last week. This is going to separate LAFC from the other teams. That and home field in the Western Conference, and we'll see where it goes beyond that in the playoffs.
What I said a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week, I want to see this bench, I'm going to call it a bench, play against someone else in the playoffs. I'm taking my money on this bench. You mentioned it. You look at the players that are sitting there. I'm like, they are starters on every other team in the league. And they're over here just like, hands like this, not pouting, but just like, when's my time? Tell me when I'm ready to come in. It's incredible to see talent on that bench. Depth for days, for sure.
It's good. Ilie came in and wrapped up shop. Marlon came in. I get the feeling the coaching staff likes him a lot because they're finding ways to get him in. So And Eduardo Tuesta didn't come into the game. Eddie Segura not on the 20. I would not be surprised if game 2 rolls around and one or two of those guys play a significant role. Everyone's got to be happy. Everyone wants to play, and I know there's guys that you're antsy to get in. But if that all stays the way it looks, and so far, I think everyone's dialed in because they know it's a special season, and they do trust in what Steve Cherundolo is doing, because I think he's very honest with them too about what they play. That stays. Certainly the 3-game series, it's going to overwhelm Vancouver, but it's also going to be, like we said earlier, how Steve might be able to throw something very different at you. We already saw it against Vancouver game 1. Clearly, it's going to happen again. And I think he enjoys keeping opponents on their toes.
He keeps all of us on our toes.
Keeps us on our toes.
But that's the beauty of it. Formation, personnel, he can change so much, home or away. I think this was a little bit more of an aggressive lineup because you are at home. So maybe they go a little bit more conservative on the road in Vancouver. And again, they talked about it last time they were there. Get off to a hot start and just weather the storm. So we'll see. We'll see what they do on the road.
We shall see. And we'll preview that game here in a little bit. But we wrap up this first game with the Return of the King. Are you a fan of J.R.R. Tolkien? Have you read the Lord of the Rings books?
I don't want to say I'm not a fan. I have not read the books. I haven't seen the movies, but I know a lot of people love it, so I'm not going to hate on it. But yeah, the whole Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. Not my jam. It's not my jam. Sorry. Continue on, Max. Sorry
I'm okay with everything. The right answer, I would have been like, I haven't read the book, but I enjoyed the movies. But you're like, no movies either.
None of it.
Do not compare Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, okay?
Look, I don't watch
Potter's for children.
I don't watch any of them. Don't read any of the books. Don't watch the movies. I just not my cup of tea. That's all.
All right, we move on. But it was the third book of the trilogy of the Lord of the Rings is the Return of the King, and they have their king and we have our king. And around the 75th minute, the North End starts going Carlos Vela, and he's sitting there. He's got a smile on his face. It's wonderful to see. He knows what the situation is. He's like just taking in the moment. This is the reality of it. Steve Cherundolo, they mentioned it in the press. They try to get him in their decision day, but they need that extra goal. And even here, up 2 goals, my heart was racing, thinking, are they not going to get him in? And if they didn't get him in, Steve Cherundolo would have said it. We'd have all been okay with it because it would have been true. I needed a third goal, but he put him in there, which in the end makes Carlos Vela whole. He rolls up there. There's this great video on LAFC social. He's like going, me? Are you ready, me? And then Anton Martin Lowry, the strength and conditioning coach, is laughing. And he's like, go in there. And then Carlos rolls in, gives team security Paul a high five, and then the rest is history. I know we saw that. It's very special for all of us. You were a teammate of Carlos. Your reaction to seeing that?
I don't know about you, but I got a little emotional. I wasn't tearing up, but, I was choked up a little bit because if you know Carlos as a person, obviously as a player, played probably 50 games with him on the right flank and I'm right behind him, just watching in awe. Best seat in the house, watching him do what he does best. And he's such a good person. And so to see him come back like this, have this special moment, hear the fans just cheering his name. I loved every bit of it. I would have loved if it were a little sooner so he could have had a couple chances, maybe scored a goal, but I get it. Steve Cherundolo has a job to do, and that is to help his team succeed. And it wasn't a perfect situation to put him on, but he did put him on, and I loved everything about it. Carlos is just class, and it was very cool to see Aaron Long come over, take that captain's armband. He didn't come off the field, but he took that band off and he said, "Here you go, Return of the King." So very cool moment.
Oh, you do like the Lord of the Rings. So I loved all about it. And then it comes in. Was it 4 minutes plus 5 minutes stoppage time? A nice chunk.
Yeah.
It's really important, not just for Carlos, because it's for the fans. It makes them whole. So, Steve, again, you can forgive him if he didn't bring him in that situation. The game was not dusted. Vancouver scored a goal late. But he did, and he empowered him. But it wasn't like, Carlos, do your thing. There was the free kick, which he took, and then there was the second free kick. It was a better look for Matty Bogusz, and he hit the post, or he hit the woodwork. And it wasn't like, oh, let Carlos take this. No, it's like, you're part of the team. There's still a pecking order. We love you. We thank you, but we're still trying to win this game. And the best chance to score here is off the foot of Bogusz.
Which he almost did. What a strike. Unlucky, hits the crossbar. But that's the thing that I try to tell people about Carlos. He's not selfish. He's not trying to do this for himself. He always makes the right decisions. He's a team player. And that's why he's so successful. Because when your leader, your best player is doing that, you just feed off of that energy and that just unselfishness. So everybody knows it. You saw everybody, even Bouanga, he wasn't upset to come off. Obviously, he might have been, but he didn't show it. He was happy to see Carlos coming back on, right? Even though he's coming off. And that's just the type of person he is. So it was great to see, and hopefully more. And I still think that he will have a serious impact within these playoffs. He's going to do something. He's going to do something that, whether this is the last dance or not, it'll be a remarkable moment.
A few touches, a few defensive responsibilities. 9 minutes. How would you rate that for Carlos Vela? I know he looked a bit rusty. He looked a little older. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, I don't think he's fit yet. I said the same thing about Bouanga right when he got over. He had a little bit of a break. Or not Bouanga, I'm sorry. About Olivier Giroud. He had a little bit of a break. He's still not fit yet. Give him some time. So Carlos is the same thing. Let him get fit. It's going to be tough, right? You're in the playoff crunch now, so he's not going to get a ton of minutes to experiment with. Right now, he's just going to have to do all his extra work afterwards, after training with the strength and conditioning coaches, trying to really catch up. But it's tough. So I don't want to grade him. It was the first game, but it's Carlos. So
it's Carlos. Look, we all remember that moment, and we can cherish it, relive it. Wonderful posts on LAFC social media handles, up close with Carlos, the moment and how it looked on the field. Check it out. Also, MLS posting a lot. It's a big thing. They're getting a lot of traffic because it's Carlos Vela. He still matters.
Yes, he
does. Let's quickly preview the second game. LAFC wins this. It's not until next Sunday. It's going to be up at BC Place. First game for home for Vancouver. Remember, they had to play their wild card game away because there was a scheduling conflict at BC Place, so they had to go to Portland, and they beat the Timbers. It's a big gap. It'll allow guys to there's no issues about guys getting fatigued or rotation, even though that could benefit LAFC because they are deeper than Vancouver. So you have a full week. LAFC did this in 2023. They went to Vancouver. It was a tougher game than game one. Were able to win, and then it was over. There is game 3 would be, I think, Friday. And if they don't have a game 3, there's that international date. So if you wrap it up in 2 games, again, this is what LAFC did last year, then you'll have a pretty significant break. But you don't want to play a third game if you don't have to. So we've seen it. What do you expect from LAFC? A similar look here? I imagine maybe a little bit different away on the hard surface there in Vancouver.
When you have the 3 games in a week, that Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, you usually see a bit of rotation in that midweek game. But right now, you said it, you have a full week to rest, recover, kind of watch game film, see what you need to improve on. And so I imagine they go with a very similar lineup, maybe one extra defender. You're on the road, right? Be a little bit more conservative. But it was really refreshing to hear, all the post-game comments from LAFC. Whether it was Lloris, whether it was Aaron Long talking about, we can't concede. We have to have a professional finish to that game and end 2-0. To give up a late goal, yes, we still won, and we're happy about that. But for me, I love hearing those responses from the players afterwards, talking about we can't concede that goal late like that. We have to see it out. And so we'll see what Steve Toronto does. Again, personally, I think he'll get on maybe another true center back, not Palencia. White is a very big, strong aerial threat. And so Palencia, who I think is phenomenal, maybe you want one more tall center back in that back 3. Or maybe, you just go with the back 4. You can have Hollingshead and Palencia on the flanks and then have your 2 traditional center backs. So we'll see. He's got so many options, but that's just my guess. I don't think too much personal change, but maybe a formation change.
I didn't mention David Martinez on that bench, and he was phenomenal last time they were in Vancouver. And I get a feeling he'll have a role to play. Jesus Murillo is available. I don't think he'll move up ahead of Chanot, Long, and Marlon at this point. But we'll see. Maybe Marlon. And I think Steve's always very honest with these guys. If they train well, they look like they can play, and they relied on Jesus so much earlier on that maybe he has a role to play here. But one thing about LAFC, really good on the road. They got a win there. We'll see if they can pile on Vancouver here like they did the Sounders. I think it's a good habit to have because you're going to face these teams again. But they've been really good away from home. The win at Cincinnati, the win at Kansas City, convincingly. The Vancouver one was close. Vancouver should have probably got a point, maybe win that game.
Sure.
But LAFC just like feels so comfortable right now away from BMO.
But it's funny because every time we talk about these teams like Seattle, Vancouver, and we're like, surely they can't just do it again. And they just keep doing it again. So we're going to say it again. Surely they can't just go there and win again, can they? I think they can. And it's going to be very similar to last time. They have to get off to a good start, weather the storm. But it just shows you also what a good team LAFC is when Vancouver just put up 5 against Portland, who both you and I have been raving about recently, their form and what they've been doing in the league. For Vancouver to put 5 on them, 5-0, a clean sheet too. And then LAFC shows them, okay, you think they're good. Let's show you who's good. But it will be a better matchup for Vancouver at home where they're comfortable, they're used to playing. So I'm excited. I'm excited to watch that game.
Me too. And you can see it on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. LAFC, I think, have an advantage because Vancouver had the edge in game 1 because they had all these players that didn't play 2 weeks ago. They're all back from international duty. Andres Cubas, Ryan Gauld, Armstrong, Pedro Vite. None of those guys were there, and they all were in there. And Ali Ahmed. So LAFC has taken their best shot. So I think it's a big edge for the black and gold. If LAFC wins this game, it will be the last time they travel from BMO Stadium until MLS Cup. They could host MLS Cup, but we'll wait for a later date. And I bring that up because as we wrap up this section of the show, LA Galaxy looked amazing. And it was just a reminder, decision day, if LAFC keeps winning, the Galaxy keep winning at home, if those two collide in the Western Final, it's going to be at BMO Stadium, which looks bigger than it did a week ago, in my estimation.
I know the fans enjoyed getting that number 1 seed against the Galaxy of all teams, but now it's just a reminder, like you mentioned, how important that number 1 seed is. Now you have home field advantage. You're at your stadium, your home crowd, your pitch that you're used to and comfortable with. Because you're right, Galaxy, watching that game, they looked very good. And Colorado.
It was over in the 53rd minute. Over.
Yeah, over. Like, done. And Colorado's been good offensively, defensively this year, haven't given up, crazy amount of goals. And they got absolutely done by 5-0 by the Galaxy. Some really, really good team goals as well by them. So if things pan out the way we think they will, 1 versus 2, it's going to be one heck of a match to watch, but still have to handle business. Don't get
yeah. There's some really good teams in MLS. The Galaxy's one of them. Yeah. So is LAFC. And we would all, I think, love to see that down the road. One step at a time. Good stuff, Beta. We will be back again next week to hopefully talk about the conference semis one step at a time, as always. That's how we roll here on Inside LAFC Podcast. We will roll on here. Make sure you rate, review, download, subscribe, tell a friend. We'll be right back. Inside LAFC Podcast is presented by Freeway Insurance. Driving savings. Welcome back to Inside LAFC Podcast. Always great to be joined by Sergi Palencia, in particular after he's coming off, he's only been here 2 seasons, but coming off an incredible year number 2 where people are throwing his name around for top awards and et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, Sergi, I got to say, I looked at the stats, and there are some very important stats, goals, assists. You know who is number 1 on tackles in MLS?
No.
You!
Me?
You and Artur of Houston, like back and forth.
Wow. That's a huge stat for me. And
why is that so huge for you?
No, because it's my... I think I'm that kind of player. I'm not a fullback that his intention or his style will give to the team like 15 assists per year, like Jordi Alba, if we have to mention one, is that kind of left back. But me, I'm another type of right back. I can do it both. I try to be the better as I can be in the two, in offensive and defensive, but I like to defend. I think a defender is the first thing has to do. And no, listening to this is amazing. I didn't know, and it's a stat, but it's really, it makes me really happy hear this.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think nothing hypes me up when I watch a game than a good tackle. Goals are great.
Exactly.
But when you see someone come in and turn the ball over, why is that? What is the key to a good tackle from the man who's at the top of the list? A good tackle to you? How do you make one?
I think is a lot of you have to feel, you have to live the game, you have to be alive, you have to have a good reaction, read when he's gonna do the next touch. I don't know. It's kind of natural for me and for all the defenders already, with all the years that we've played the soccer, and I don't know. Maybe it's trying to send the guy wherever you want to be. You know, it's like if I'm facing a left-footed winger, I want him maybe to go to his right, and then is where you tackle, because you know he will be in a worse position. So it's trying to make them do whatever you want. It's a little bit like this, but it's so difficult. It happens so fast. Sometimes it's more intuition. It's more what you are feeling in the moment, and that's it.
You made making a tackle sound very difficult, Sergi.
yeah, exactly.
But I know it's hard, and I see the reaction of teammates when there's a good tackle. They're like, ugh.
Yes. No, it's the best. It's the best. And the fans, like you said, is one thing that changed the environment and changed the mood of everyone, and is kind of, and here in US, no, with the American football, with hockey that we always talk, it's like, yeah, this is what the fans like also.
Sergi would be a great free safety in the NFL if he was born in Birmingham, Alabama instead of Barcelona. It would be different.
I'm too short. I think I'm too short for that, but for sure I would play it a lot during my early years.
You like a good tackle. Quick, let's talk about your season. We'll get into the playoffs. 30 games in the regular season, 7 starts in Leagues Cup, obviously the playoff game, regular in the Open Cup as well. So you're looking around 40, 42 games. How does your body feel after a season like that? And how do you maintain a good standard, which you did all year?
No, feels great. And now that we are in the important part of the season, and we have more rest during the games. It's true that it was hard for all of us during the Leagues Cup, that we played every 3 days. When we finished the Leagues Cup, we played after 3 days the semifinals of Open Cup, and then MLS, and then the final Open Cup. That was a crazy month for us, and you could see that we were a little bit tired. But now that we have one complete week to rest, to train, and for that important games, now we are flying. We are super healthy. Everyone's healthy. Everyone's good, motivated. Everyone wants to play, and yes, now is the best part. I feel great, and I think most of the players feel the same.
You said, we talked to you at the end of the regular season after decision day, and you said you didn't know the importance of the playoffs until you arrived. So you never dealt with playoffs. So what was it that you saw and said this? Okay, and just take us to the Vancouver game where fireworks and importance and people, the crowd much more into it. What did you notice that things just ramped up a little bit for a playoff game?
No, it's just I remember last year. It's just you didn't see the people very excited for winning. It's true that St. Louis last year that they won our conference in regular season, but they didn't celebrate it the way that I used to see in Europe. You know, it's like, okay, we won the league, yeah, but we won the league for having the field advantage in the playoff. No, we are celebrating that. No, we are not celebrating that we won the league. No, so for me that is also important. But yeah, you can see the change of mentality and the games in playoff. They are very close. You don't want to give to the opponent. You don't want to give anything to them. You try to we saw 0-0 Minnesota Salt Lake, 0-0 Seattle against Houston. There are close games. Our game was also close. Atlanta compete good against Miami. You see, it's another kind of games. These games in regular season, for sure, one of them would finish 3-0 or 3-2. You know, you don't see mistakes. You don't see people risking more. You see very pragmatic football. Very you see people competing for something important, and you can feel it there. And for sure, our stadium is always so great for the fans. But you can see it in the fireworks and I don't know the people. I don't know how to explain, but you can feel it. You can feel it for sure.
That was a very good answer, and I like how you said I watched the games, and you can tell the way Minnesota.
Yeah, you can tell.
How many MLS Cup playoff games did you watch this week?
How much? Almost. What I always complain here is when we play normal regular season, we can't watch the games because they are at the same hour that ours, you know. And when I have the opportunity to watch, like they play on Monday or they play on Saturday, or I can watch it, for sure I'm watching. But this is difficult to watch the other opponents if you are playing at the same hour.
You just cut a very nice commercial for Apple TV. Very nice, Sergi. I want to say that. That's very. The game out of Vancouver. Let's get into the game because you're going to get ready for leg 2 in Vancouver. We'll talk about the road trip. But how did you see the 90 minutes against the Whitecaps? It's important to win, and I know you guys are very watertight defensively. Allow the goal late, but what are the bullet points you take away from that first game in advance of the second?
Yeah, I think the best thing, as you said, is the result for us. I think we didn't perform on our level or as we can do, but this is a good. I would take it in positive way. Okay, we didn't do our best performance, and we won. Looks like closer result with the 2-1, but we were 2-0. We were having control of the game. We were fine, but then they scored at the last minute, and you feel like it was much closer. But yeah, I think we need to. We are two teams that know each other very well, so you can see it on the game. There's a lot of chances. Everyone knows the player that has in front. It's difficult for us moving the ball. They press us really good. We press them also well, or we know how to do the transitions, but they are aware of having the knee control in the transitions. You know, we are teams that know each other very well, and this makes a very close game. But I think tomorrow the coaching staff will show us the good things and the bad things, and we will try to improve our bad things and to give continuity to the good ones, and I think we can do a good job in Vancouver.
Very special moment in that Whitecaps game when Carlos Vela came in.
Yeah.
Saw it on social media. You've been here for a couple of years, so you know the impact for Carlos Vela. It's obviously special for all of us who watch and the fans. What did it mean inside the players, the locker room, to have that moment?
It's amazing. He's a leader for us. We were so happy when he came back. For me, I have a really special relationship with him. From the first day I came here, like a no one. I am nobody, and I come from Saint Etienne, and he always been so kind with me. He has a Spanish woman, so the Spanish wife. So we are close because of that also. And he treated me really, really well from the day one. I'm so grateful to him, and I don't need to explain you how it is to play with him on the same side as a player. You can give him the ball, and he always finds a solution. And I would love it to have him here since the beginning. The things were not like this, but now he can have a good end of the season, and we hope we can bring him, or he can bring us another ring, and this would be huge for all of us, and for him also. I know how special is the club for him, and we want to make it more special.
I can see it right now. Sergi with a tackle starts the transitions. Find Carlos Vela. Boop.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, I would love it. Where I have to sign? Where I have to sign?
Here we go. I got the pen and paper. By the way, Sergi, you are really the glue player of this team. You know, the connection with Ilie, with La Masia in Barcelona, the connection with Bouanga and at Saint Etienne. We had Marlon on here the other day. He said that he played with you.
Yes.
Barcelona, was it Barcelona B as well?
Yes, it was the year that we promote that. This was huge for us. Promote to third division to second division. There the Barça B can play in second division, and we played together that year, and we promote to second division. Yeah, he was my right center back. I was the captain there, and I was the right back. He was the center back. We were in the same side. He did an incredible year. He had the opportunity to play then after that year with Luis Enrique in the first team a little bit. So yeah, he was already an amazing guy, very mature for the age, having the first experience outside of Brazil and coming to Spain and playing there was like crazy how fast he adapted. And now he's here. We can see he gave us the first place of the West. That's amazing. How small is this football world, and I'm so happy to have him here.
That is incredible. John Thornton, go through your phone to see if you have any other players that you played with, to see if they can come to LAFC.
Yeah,
you could be the next general manager, Sergi.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of contacts. I've been with a lot of good players, and yes.
By the way,
I always say I can, if they imagine, if John asked me how is this player, maybe I don't know him personally, but for sure I have someone that knows him and I can ask. You know, the football world is that small that you can arrive to any player with only one contact, for sure.
That's amazing. Does sometimes they come to you? They probably ask you for, hey, do you know a little about this?
They ask everyone. Like
That's
if they
amazing.
know. Yeah. Those are things that.
Is he a good dude? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And here there is one club that this kind of things matters. Like it's good guy, good professional. He will adapt good at our locker room when he's not playing. How he's doing, you know. Those are important things that we need also in our locker room. You don't want an amazing player that will not play one day and will come late or he will not want to train. You want guys that are professionals.
That's a great point. By the way, he mentioned Luis Enrique, who is a legendary figure in Barcelona, played there. He's now the manager at PSG. He was the manager at the Spanish national team prior. So more great connections. Sergi, I could go on and on, but I don't want to take too much time of yours. But I wanted to ask, how many LA sport team games, because I know everyone's locked in with the Dodgers and the Lakers. How many games have you seen? Did you go? How many teams have you seen live?
I watch live the Chargers, Rams, Dodgers, Kings, hockey, and NBA, Clippers, and Lakers. Yes.
So you've been to a Clipper game. You've been to a Laker game.
Yeah. I have priorities. I like the sport. I like the players. Yes, I like it. I like the culture that you guys have here in US. So I really enjoy to be here and having the opportunity to be live at that kind of events.
Oh, that's beautiful because we love sports and it's a great sports town. I'm glad you could enjoy it. So,
amazing.
Squeeze the limon, squeeze it all out there.
Yes.
Best of luck in Vancouver. I know you guys have been on a tear on the road, but as always, Sergi, I appreciate you joining us. You bring so much to our program. And thank you just for being yourself and helping all these guys settle in. Good stuff, man.
Thank you so much. Thank you, and a pleasure to be here. And I hope we can do it again when we win the whole thing.
Because what did Ilie say? The best is yet to come.
For sure. I totally agree with Ilie, as always.
He's a smart guy. What can I say? I tell you.
Yeah.
Sergi Palencia, our defender, fullback, joining us here on Inside LAFC. That's all the time we have. We'll be back to recap what happened in Vancouver with more great guests. So rate, review, download, subscribe, tell a friend. We'll see you next time on Inside LAFC podcast.